In 1829, Felix Mendelssohn's parents sent him on a tour of Europe. On this tour, he sketched the materials for two symphonies inspired by his travels, the Scottish and the Italian. Let's play the beginnings of both to see if we can find out which country he liked better. Now, the Scottish was written a few years after he wrote the Italian, and the material for the Scottish was shelved for so long that it's probably not about his actual trip, though he did write the opening melody while he was standing in the ruins of a church he found on one of his hikes there. He complained about the rain and the cold. But the weather in Italy must have been so much better. The Italian symphony is bright and vibrant and exciting. Mendelssohn once called it his jolliest symphony. It begins as if Mendelssohn opens a door onto a bustling village center. The first theme that we get has a frolicking character. It bounces and swoops and playfully runs circles around us. After the initial excitement dies down, we get a second melody that very much gives us the impression that Mendelssohn was in love with the sights and sounds around him. Maybe he was looking at the mountains, or maybe he was looking at the architecture, either of which could be symbolized by this more regal but still sunny-sounding melody. Now, normally in a first movement, we're going to only be concerned with two melodic ideas, but when we get to the part where we expect Mendelssohn to start futzing with the material he's already written, he introduces bit by bit this third melodic idea. This one has a sort of militaristic character. It's as if Mendelssohn is gearing up for an expedition through Italy, where he's going to sort of triumphantly climb mountains and walk to the sea, and who knows? But it's a much more march-like, energetic figure. The second movement was inspired by a religious procession that Mendelssohn witnessed in Naples. It has two main musical sections and an introductory melodic nugget. The first section has a few different layers. We've got this steady bass line underneath, and then this very stoic, somber melody, and then a counter melody introduced by the flutes to add some sort of decoration, some color, and some floatiness to the texture. The second musical section is much more warm. We have these sweeping gestures within the melody, we have these big, lush, rich chords, but this is a serious occasion, and so we're quickly reminded to shut up by the introductory melodic nugget. The symphony ends with two dances. The first is a minuet, but this one is more playful, it's more rich, it's more filling, it's more substantial, and in the middle we have this horn chorale that again we get this sort of militaristic undertone with this dun-da-ga-dum, be-dum, dun-da-ga-dum, dun-da-ga-dum, that fanfare-esque motive introduced to us in the horns. The last movement is based off of a saltarello and a tarantella. The premise of a tarantella is the dancer has been bitten by a tarantula and must dance as crazily as possible in order to not die from the venom. And so this last movement is supposed to embody just that. We get the bite at the beginning and the explosion, lots of terror and excitement, and then we have to start dancing because we don't want to die. And then we do not stop dancing. The last movement is the epitome of going out with a bang. Orchestras like to play this one as fast as possible. It's very, very technical. It's very, very impressive to hear, and it's very, 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 very energetic. There's this sort of bit somewhere in the middle where it's this almost Bohemian Rhapsody-ish sort of thing where you have the triplet military rhythm over the top, which sort of reminds me of this we will not let you go, let him go, which is fun for me. And then it ends in sort of orchestral smashes, as if we're, smashing our violins and orchestras to kill the tarantula so that it cannot poison us, so we have to do that dance again. As always, you can find a link to a performance of Mendelssohn's Fourth Symphony below. If you've never listened to a symphony before, I actually think this is a pretty good first one to start. There are a lot of musical ideas that are presented very well, and they will keep you engaged without being too wordy. But you can just listen to individual movements as well. The first and the fourth are super energetic and super driven, and the second is quite short and really, really lovely. I talked about this piece today because I'm preparing to workshop it at a conducting festival at the end of the summer. If you like these videos and you want to say thanks, there's a GoFundMe link down below to help me with the tuition of the festival. The arts are still peeking their head out from the pandemic, so work is a little hard to come by at the moment, which I hope to rectify soon. But until then, if you've got a spare $1 or $5 to give, it would really, really help. Thanks for watching, and happy listening.